Sorry about that. My last video got cut off. I have a 15-minute time limit, and you guys know that I'm not shy about talking. So let me see if I can wrap this up quickly. What I was saying, if you kind of watched all the way to the end, is that I would go back to the standard and almost start by using the language of the standard and then kind of revise it as it makes sense. So that's what I did over here. I actually took the standard itself, and I pasted it into start, and then I played around with it because it says recognize a line of symmetry for a two-dimensional figure as a line across the figure such as that the figure can be folded along the line into matching parts, identify line symmetry figures, and draw lines of symmetry. So it's kind of almost redundant. It's almost repeating the same thing. It's almost telling the students a definition in it. So you don't necessarily have to use that definition piece. So as I pasted it, I'm like, gosh, what they have to do is show the recognition of a shape that has a line of symmetry, and they have to know, they have to be able to identify shapes that show symmetry. And in Sam's assessment, if you look at what she's having them do, she's having them create the shapes, create a mosaic. So what makes sense is to show proficiency, they can create a two-dimensional shape that has symmetry, so they can make one because they are able to identify a figure with lines of symmetry. They have to draw lines of symmetry, so they can do that here, and they can actually show recognition of a line of symmetry for a two-dimensional figure by drawing a line across a two-dimensional figure with symmetry. So they'll draw the figure that has the symmetry, and then they can draw the lines of symmetry. They can show recognition by drawing that. And maybe, Sam is the teacher. She could be the judge if she wants them to label. So maybe it could say by drawing and labeling, if she wants that, or if the line across is simple enough for her to be able to figure that out. So I would take the standard and actually try to use the language of the standard, just tweaking it a little bit so that it makes sense for the kids, so that it doesn't contain any unnecessary information, and have that be your proficient level. And then you're going to go back down one. And what you're going to realize sometimes with the lower grades is that you're already low enough on the taxonomy that moving down and moving down and moving down, there's not much room left. So sometimes what I suggested maybe she do here is recognize symmetry in an object with support or prompting. Now, the problem is her summative assessment going to be able to give students an opportunity to show their level 2 understanding if they're not quite ready for the level 3 or their level 1? That's something you guys are going to have to think about when you create your summatives. Is I have my rubric. Did I give students an opportunity to show their knowledge at every level? That way, if a student isn't yet proficient, at least they've been able to show you that they can reach the 2. If you only assess for the 3 and you have specific things in your level 1 or level 2 that you don't allow them to show, they're either going to be a 3 or not at all, and then it might be a little bit tricky. So just make sure that maybe what Sam can do is have a first part of this assessment be, just simple labeling and recognition, so that if a student is just a level 1 or a level 2, and they're not quite at the 3, she'll know exactly where they are relative to this. By this point at the summative, though, hopefully everybody can do this level 3 work. But maybe there's a part 1. This is just talking through, just processing it with you guys. But these are the things you have to be thinking about, because a level 2 may be doing something at level 3 with some prompting or support, and that might happen earlier in your summative assessment. And then a level 1 is oftentimes just a basic definition of basic ideas is usually what ends up happening in your level 1. And then a level 4 is one step up. So if you're already creating one thing, a way to make that more advanced is to create something using, like, synthesizing ideas. So if they were able to make their entire mosaic symmetrical, that would be so advanced. So I just said create a symmetrical object or drawing, and so in this case it would be a mosaic, using multiple shapes, lines, and angles. So that could then pull in some of the other pieces. So just an idea, Sam, if you're watching this, don't feel like you have to do this exactly. I'm just trying to help you guys work through the process of creating a rubric that makes sense. And the very last thing I'll say is, the movement lately has been for rubrics to be standard specific and not assignment specific. So even though you may, like Sam, want to do one rubric like this, just be prepared that if you go into a school, they may ask you not to do rubrics like this, because it's not necessarily driven by the specific assignment or assessment anymore. It's driven by the standard. And if a student can't show you what they know on the assessment you've created, it's your responsibility to do a new assessment. And you would hate to have to do a whole new rubric because your rubric is assignment specific or assessment specific. If you had a standard specific rubric, you could have them do any number of different assessments and that same rubric would apply, no matter how they were showing you the skills or the knowledge. So just some things to think about. So if you do something like this, make sure it's almost like unit specific and it's all these 4 standards together and could be used on any number of different assessments. And that may help you just prepare for the world of education you're going into a little bit more. So I hope that the 2 videos combined help a little bit. As I said in the other video, it's going to be really important that you just draft things out, just post them on the thread of discussion, ask for the feedback. Curriculum design is complex and it's a process, and if you don't allow yourself to work through the process fully, sometimes you can end up with, you know, less than stellar results. So work through the process, rely on the collaboration of you know, of yourself with your peers through the thread of discussion and what we'll do in class on December 3rd. But for now, draft it out, work it out, and just send me an email if you need something specific in the meantime. So good luck, guys.